Hello, it's Andrew Eborn here with another edition of the Andrew Eborn Show. And my very special guest is the wonderful Wayne Fox. How are you, Wayne?
Wonderful, even. Wonderful.
Look at it. I'll tell you what, before we even start, look at that background. Is that Jimi Hendrix?
Oh, that's a little bit special, that. Do you like it, mate?
No, I love it. What is it?
It's a Ronnie Wood original.
And I tell you what, my old mate Ronnie Wood, he is superb because I can tell you, let you into a bit of name dropping early on. When I was down in Cannes.
Well, I started it.
Oh, it's your fault for having it because Ronnie is like superb. And I was in Cannes, as is my wont, and he was down there. I was invited to a little private gallery. There was only like 10 of us went to this gallery, and Ronnie Wood is a superb artist, isn't he?
Yeah. I really like his work. And I was in Covent Garden, and was in Castles in Covent Garden, the gallery, and they had some artwork up there that I was looking at. And I wanted an original piece rather than just a print or a copy. And they sent me over 5 or 6 pieces that I could choose from, and this was the one that I liked the most. They did, although they have recently tempted me with something else as well now.
So. What do they tell you? No, but that's once you're hooked. I'll tell you what, Wayne. Once you're hooked, aren't you?
You are. I do like. I mean, I paint anyway, so I've always loved artwork. So then I've got some Darren Brown stuff as well, and a couple of other.
Great as well. Darren's fantastic. What do you have with Darren's?
I've got a self-portrait
of Darren.
Of Darren.
It would be of Darren if it was a self-portrait. No, you should have said no, David Copperfield. He's very good.
No. I wanted the caricatures that he does.
I know, brilliant. I loved his Orson Welles was my favourite.
Yes, it's a really good one. But I thought I wouldn't mind getting one of his. So I wrote to him and got one. I was very
70 grand later. How much did it cost you?
I'm not telling you how much.
You've got to tell me. No, the art, you can make. I'll let you into a secret because I deal with the art world. So what they do, they research all these videos, and it helps Darren next time. So if you say it like cost 70 grand, and you had to knock him down from 80, it will help his things no end. So we'll try that again. Okay, here we go. How much did you pay for it, Wayne?
15.
15 grand.
Well,
a bargain. Very good. I love it. And are you now going to get a collection of different artworks by different artists? I like that idea.
I do. I do like collecting art. I do like collecting art. When I was younger, I wasn't that interested in only my own artwork because I found it so therapeutic and relaxing to be able to paint. And I suddenly became interested in other people's artwork just when I went to a couple of exhibitions, and I've got a few artist friends, and I saw what they were doing, and I thought I wouldn't mind that on my wall. And then that was it. And then that day in Castles was brilliant. I was actually in there just looking at something completely different, nothing to do with what Ronnie had out, and I saw that one on the side. And
did you meet Ronnie? Did you see him there?
Didn't meet him, and I tried to. He wasn't there on that day. But when you're buying an original rather than just a print, you're treated like royalty. It's lovely. You know, it really, really is lovely for them to come running out to you because you've got this and it was the day I went over there to view it, it was hanging in a room all on its own with no other artwork there apart from one other very, very small piece, which I think is the bit that's going to tempt me to get another piece by Ronnie. But
here you go. I'll show you this just to prove this was me in Cannes with the man himself, and behind there, look at that, there you go, all good stuff. Behind there, this is where we went down in Cannes, and I'll tell you what I love about this, Wayne, is people who are passionate about their side project. They love it. So I had the joy, it's only name dropping, it's your fault for bringing it up. When I was in Cannes, I was invited down to this gallery. It was the opening. We had all of the pieces there, which is fantastic. In addition to that, we went for a dinner afterwards with his girlfriend, now his wife. And he was so passionate about his artwork. That's all he wanted to talk about. Forget the little band he was in. He loved talking about his artwork. Isn't that sensational?
I've heard that he does actually enjoy talking about art as well. And it's sort of, the band is secondary. And his music career is secondary to what he's doing with his artwork. What I like about him is that that is what he studied. He's not a famous person who suddenly thinks, right, what else can I do? I know, I'll do some drawings. Because I find that a lot of celebrity people who do start going on that way, some of their artwork actually isn't, and I don't like abstract. I like to look at something and go, yeah, that's Jimi Hendrix on the wall.
Yeah, that's right, absolutely. And you can see that, instantly recognisable. But not only that, you can tell from an artist by the way they depict it. I was hoping it was a Ronnie Wood, and we didn't. It's like we almost planned this, you know. Here's a segue.
It's Ronnie Wood. Ronnie Wood is in the background.
No, I can see him.
The story was Ronnie's in the background in the wings at the Scene Club in New York. And he went over there, and he used to be best friends with Hendrix, and he looked over at him, and he was always looking up to him. And this night he did a sketch there and imagined himself on the other side there, and just thought that'll be me there. I'll put me in the background so we're there together. And he's playing at the Scene Club. That night he went home and flew back to Chelsea and passed away. So that was the last night he was actually on stage. So it's quite an iconic piece. But with Ronnie in there in the background as well, I love it.
Behind, and he does all of that. If you look at the stuff which he did with the Stones and the rest, he's brilliant at capturing the moment. And that's what I really love, is there are certain people who are in the profession, whether they're singers, dancers, magicians, and they have this real passion in addition to what they're known for. And Ronnie's great. A few galleries, which is why I spotted it, and a few galleries will let you know his work. It's the same. There's a number of people like Bob Dylan. Bob Dylan is a great artist. Do you like his work?
He's got, yes, because it looks like what it's supposed to look like. And I know that one of my friends loves abstract. And when you look at it, I can't make head or tail of it. But other people like to make some kind of impression in their mind what they think it might be, and I don't really like doing that. I like to look at it and say, yeah, that's a lovely landscape drawing, that's a lovely picture of Hendrix. And what Bob Dylan was doing on his stuff is actually, you know, it looks like American landscapes and long sort of Route 66 roads and motorways and stuff like that. And I actually quite like those. And I was looking because his exhibition was the week after Ronnie's at Castles in Covent Garden, and so I went along to both of them, and I didn't get anything because I just really like this one, and I really was, you know.
And it captures everything. What I love about the art world, and just by Regent's Park, we have the big art fair there all the time. We also have what normally would be, they have the Frieze Art Fair, fantastic. I go along to that a lot. But they also have what's called Masterpiece, which is down on Chelsea Barracks. And that's supposed to be happening around this time, where they have over £2 billion worth of artwork. And it's just the most fantastic way of doing stuff. And you go and have a look. But also what people forget is that a lot of these places like Sotheby's and Christie's, you can go in there, have a look when an auction's coming up, and the pieces there are just superb, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, I went to see George Michael's collection, you know, when he sold his stuff off. And that was extra. I knew that he collected art, but I didn't know that he had that. I was a huge George Michael fan, as you know, and I had no idea that he had that much. Where was he keeping that? But there were some bits and pieces which I was reserving for myself. I looked at and thought, that's what I want. There was one piece there, and it just went. It went like, I think it was up 3 times the price of my house.
but when you look at, I mean, and the current climate, people are complaining about what's going to happen in this extraordinary times. We'll come on to that. What I love is that artwork, rather than your stocks and shares, it's something you can bung on your wall and you can enjoy it.
Exactly. That's what it's for. Anyone could say to me, why don't you invest money in a house and then you get some money back from it? So, yeah, okay, but all I get is the ugly money. That's all I get. That's all I'm getting.
There's some pretty money as well. It's not all ugly, you know.
No. But you want something for it, and we all want money, and we all need it. But sometimes, just think, I just want some for my investment. Wouldn't it be nice to have something in the meantime that I could appreciate every single day? And that's one of them. So It's just something that I like to have. I've got all kinds of little bits and pieces which I like to collect. I just like to.
We should do this. Is what we should do. And what I like, and this is what we're going to do actually, Wayne. I love the way these things happen. Is that I love the idea of Wayne's World. We're going to look at art, and I want to see. Have you got one of your pieces? Have you got one to hand?
I haven't, no. Because I've just moved house, haven't I? So everything's all in storage. And this is the first one what I've got out. I would love to show you.
But it's not. You've got one next to it as well. But tell me about the one next to it.
That's not a piece. That is a small gift I had of Mozart because this is my piano next to here, and that's a music sheet which you can keep sheets of music in. Not that I can read music.
Oh, well, I like that. That's brilliant. Yeah, because most people, and I love your honesty as well, because most people, when I go to their houses around the world, and we've done 500 of these fantastic interviews, I go to them, they have bookshelves upon bookshelves. Most of the books they've never looked at. And I always test them. I say, well, tell me about that book. But I love that. So you can't read music, but you've got a music cue sheet.
Yes, that's what that is. It's empty. There's nothing in it, but
show us the empty. God, show us the empty thing. Because I love this. I love this honesty about it. Because this is good. Here we go. So this is your Mozart. Shows you bits and pieces. So talk us through it. So what happened here? Here we go.
My friend Celia, a really good friend of mine.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to see. Because I would always ask. I know what's supposed to be in there. What I love. This is the bit where you got your piano out, you got your Joanna out, and you got your Mozart on there. And this is where I keep my favourite piece of music. It's rather like that old gag about this is everything I know about women or something, or everything I know about men. Open it up, there's nothing inside.
Absolutely nothing. And but it was just a lovely gift from my friend, and she said, "I've got you a present." She come over to that. But I won't not put it up. It's a lovely thing to put up because that actually come from Mozart's house.
Oh, did it?
She went to his house, which is now a museum, and they were selling these pieces on there. So she got that for me as a small gift.
Oh, isn't that lovely?
That's it. It is lovely. It's just I love stuff like that. But that's my little bit of artwork. But I would have loved to have shown you some of the artwork that I do because it's all mainly London landscape stuff.
Well, I don't know. What we'll do, we'll bring them because we always like the idea of people coming back. We like returning guests, and you'll find lots of members of the Magic Circle come back again and again and again, especially the interesting ones, the ones who are talking about real stuff. It's always
yes, I would love that. I would definitely love to do that. Because it won't take long for me to get because they're going up in the studio next. I built a studio next door to my house, and so I don't have to keep running up and down the road. I can do everything from home. And my paintings are going to go in my studio, so nobody else has to look at them.
Yeah. We're going to look. We're going to show millions around the world, and we can launch your thing. Because as a principal, I love the idea when people are known for something, and then there's a little secret, something that people know nothing about them, and they've got that passion.
You're singing from my hymn book there. I do love finding out.
So there's no point singing from your hymn book. I'll sing from somebody who understands how to read music.
Do that. That was the wrong term of phrase. But isn't it lovely? It's a lovely moment when you find out somebody is good at something else that they're not actually well known for. I'm a magician and everyone knows that I like knuckle busting sleight of hand. But actually, I love artwork and I love trimming bonsai trees. And there's all kind of things that I just love.
Do you do bonsai trees? Do you do bonsai? Oh, yes. You've got to talk. I'll tell you what, I did a lot of work in Japan. I looked after Fuji Television, the host broadcasters for Formula One. It's like equivalent of ITV. So I negotiated all their deals. So I used to go to Japan like 2 or 3 times a year. And there is a beauty, an absolute beauty in that minimalist stuff. How did you get into bonsai?
I was about 5 or 6 years old. And my mum was showing me how you can make a miniature garden in a big ice cream Tupperware tub.
That's what you do. Your walls, the bonsai by the walls.
So punch some holes in this Tupperware tub, and we went to the garden centre. It was a lovely day out, and we filled it all up with soil and sand. And I made a tiny pond, which was about 5 centimetres round. And then I had some tiny little plants that I put in it. And I loved the idea of everything being so tiny. And I just started to look at things like that, little plants. And then my mum sort of pointed out some bonsai trees when I was a kid, which back then were an absolute fortune to buy. You can pick them up really reasonably now. And that was it. I started to grow some plants of my own, but mostly I like to rescue, like people do with pets. I like to go to an old garden centre that right at the back, they've got all these old rhododendron trees that no one's looked after, and then reclaim them, bring them back, take care of them, nurse them back to health, and then fashion them into some kind of bonsai shape. I love doing that. Great pastime, great pastime.
No, absolutely sensational. I love all that as well. I think that the real principle, what I love is that anybody who's passionate about anything, it is so infectious, isn't it?
Yeah, because if that's what life's all about. It's about having fun, doing something amazing with your life, and whatever it may be, whether it's artwork or growing bonsai trees or walking dogs. You know, I get such a buzz out of everything that I do. I go for a walk through London. It's what a beautiful thing to do. And it's just wonderful just to get up, have breakfast in Covent Garden, and then just walk along the Thames.
So where do you live? Whereabouts, where are you calling from today?
North London. So I'm in North London, just on the other side of Enfield.
Okay.
So it's quite leafy. It's quite leafy where I am. And it's, but to think that within, 25-minute drive, I'm in central London. I mean, at least I can get to the Magic Circle within 25 minutes drive from my house. And it's so easy for me because I'm right on the top of that M25 part where you're in North London, and I can whiz round the other side of London on the M25 and be there within an hour. So it's a really good situated place because I've still got a bit of green, but I can be with my beloved London, which I love so much, and I can still be there. So I don't, I can't, I couldn't move away. I couldn't move any further away because there's so much that I do in London, not with work. And if I'm not working there, I'm out on the social as well. So I have so much fun. There's always kinds of things that I'm doing. So, and I go around taking photographs as well.
So see, this is what I love about this. So what I love, we've gone all the way from a bit of artwork, started with Ronnie Wood, you've done your bonsai tree, you mentioned walking dogs, we come on back to that, and you do other bits, and you do your photography. Tell me about the dogs first before we come on to the photography.
No, I don't walk dogs. I'm just saying.
I just brought dogs in case there are dog lovers. I love it. I love this is the equivalent of clickbait. If you mention enough words out there, the dog lovers will love you. Say, you mentioned dogs. You must be a dog man. What sort of dog? Did you ever have a dog?
No. When I was a little boy, I had a dog. I had a black Labrador.
Did you have a dog? No, but when I was a boy, I had a dog. This is like a multiple choice question.
No, but I had her for literally months. It was, I was not long.
But that counts as a dog.
But I'm a cat man.
Are you a cat man?
I'm a cat man.
So you have a cat at the moment?
I can't be done with picking up dog poo.
But you can be done with picking up cat poo?
With a spade into a bag. But it's in your garden.
Oh, is it? We're getting them out of my garden. What are you sending them in the garden for? Keep them in your own garden. No, cats are great because you can train a cat. You're right.
Yeah, my cat's fine.
Everywhere. Train a cat and it will go very nicely at an early age in its litter bin, won't it?
Yeah. My cat is great, but I've had 3 cats since I was 11. And the longest actually I went was when I'm separated, as you know now. I'm divorced. But when we separated, our cat died during that time, and that 4-year period was the longest time I've not been without. I've been without a cat, and I can't believe. I know we always say we miss our pets when they're gone, but that was extraordinary not having a cat around the house. And so when I moved into this place, one of my friends bought me a cat for my birthday.
When was your birthday?
Loki. September the 11th. But my cat's not around at the moment. He was a little while ago because I wanted to introduce him to you. His name's Loki.
We must get your cat. What's your cat called?
Loki.
Really? After that, there you go. No, I'll let you explain it. Did you name the cat?
No, one of my other friends, she named it for me because I wanted to call him... what did I had a couple of ideas. Well, I actually wanted to call him Magic at one point.
Magic.
But everyone just said, "Oh, really?" It's just so you know, typical. And then one of my friends, I was chatting with her during lockdown, and she said to me, why don't you call it Loki? Because that is, you know.
Sure. Or you could have had Preston, the prestidigitating pussy. You could have gone for the PPP.
Mate, now we're talking.
Wouldn't that be good?
You?
Preston? Go on, I'll know your next pussy. Sort this out.
I want to get another cat just so I can call it the prestidigitation pussy.
Isn't that fantastic? And that would be inspiration. And nobody's ever had that. I love the idea. It's got to be good.
I love it.
We can maybe organise that for you. It's got to.
Maybe.
And it's interesting because we've danced around everything, but the main reason that we know each other is through a common interest. Tell us what that is, Wayne.
Magic. Hey. The magic circle.
Hey. There you go.
I love magic, as you do. It's my thing. It's since I was a kid, I've just been intrigued with it. I believe it's real. And back then I believed it real. And when I perform magic now, I try to get other people to understand how real magic can be. I still believe such a thing of magic. I still genuinely believe there's such a thing as magic. It may not be like with the deck of cards. Name a card.
4 of spades.
Close.
Oh, hey, that's the one I was thinking of.
I know. Can you imagine if that went right? Could you imagine? We would.
I can. Ask me to name another one.
Name another one, Andrew.
The Queen of Clubs.
Are you having a laugh?
Oh, for heaven's sake! I'll rewind it. We're doing. I'm trying to help you out here, so it looks good in the edit. You know, it's got to be good. Always a thrill. Always a thrill. But anyway, I love all this. So you mentioned. I know that you've been doing magic professionally for a quarter of a century, over a quarter of a century, which is fantastic. Pretty good. I know that. And you are the feedback I hear about you at your gigs. I know you very well at the Magic Circle. You're well loved by all those who don't turn up on a Monday, and it's a real joy. Tell me about how you got started, Wayne Fox.
Apart from obviously being my hobby as a kid, I just got interested into magic by watching David Nixon, Doug Henning, Paul Daniels. I started to really get so intrigued by it. Now, I then started to buy myself some magic tricks, and my mum bought me a magic trick before it all started. She bought me a book, the David Nixon's Magic Box. And I only just remember David Nixon being on TV as well. I was just a little bit too young, but she bought me this book. Now, the reason why she bought me the book was that I struggle with reading. I really struggled. I think they'll probably later find out that I'm dyslexic. So, but back in the day, they were just saying he's struggling. And my teacher, when I was about 9, I think 8 or 9, said to my mum, get Wayne a book about a subject that he's actually really genuinely interested in, with not much text, but with lots of diagrams. So she said, well, ideal. She goes, I'll get him a magic book. So she bought me a magic book, and it was exactly that. I've still got the book as well.
Oh, what is it? What's it called?
It's called David Nixon's Magic Box.
Oh, no, that's super. But he was real. I mean, if you're going to pick lots of different magicians, and you mentioned so many different, you've got Paul Daniels, you mentioned Doug Henning, and you mentioned David Nixon. Your style, you wouldn't naturally put you in the David Nixon style, would you?
No, I'll tell you, I'm so pleased you picked up on that, because I hope other magicians who watch this will understand and get something from what I'm about to say. When I ask
these questions, you see, you've got to ask these perceptive questions.
You know what you're doing, don't you?
Hey.
So we had I wanted to do. I wanted to come across as a serious, mind-reading, extraordinary magician, and I tried and tried and tried, but every time I was in front of people, I couldn't help using my fast wit. And even though I say so myself, I have got fast wits. I'm very quick with what I say. So I started to carry on. I just couldn't resist saying one-liners while I was working. So as I'm up there doing some magic and bits and pieces, whether it's close up or I was on stage, I would start to do this stuff, and people would, I couldn't help it. I couldn't help but throw in these silly one-liners and act a little bit. I just can't, because that's me. That's how I do it. And as that was happening, I fought it and thought, no, I've got to be doing this. And it wasn't until I reached about 30 years old that I thought, what? I'm missing the boat here. I wanted to come across as one of these serious performers like Darren. Darren wasn't around by the time I was thinking this.
And I wanted thinking that ahead of time, before Darren was around. You thought I wanted to be one of these people like Darren, and he wasn't even on telly. That's real magic. This is Wayne Fox, ladies and gentlemen.
But I was thinking that I wanted to be a serious performer, but because of my skills, I appreciate that I've practiced really hard I love sleight of hand magic. I love it, and I was using so much of my skill. But what I find, as the magicians will know, I use so much of my patter and comedic value as my misdirection. So if I started to calm down the humour, I found that my magic wasn't as hard hitting. So I, naturally found that pathway, that my humour and the way my body language worked was I was using it to my advantage subconsciously. Then I started to realise I can see what I'm doing now. And so and then I met Michael Amar. I think I hadn't even had kids at the time, so I was probably about 25. And I was chatting with him, and he came over here to lecture, and I was going through stuff. And he said, the best thing you can do if you don't want to perform in character is be yourself. Don't try and be somebody else on stage or in front of anybody. Just be yourself. And the best way I can explain my performance is that I am a caricature of myself. That's what I am. So, and people, when they meet me, they say he's the same as he is off on stage, which is quite rare.
I'll tell you what, Wayne, it's a pet hate of mine. Seeing magicians, we've all seen them, who come out, because the worst thing about magic, and this is for a general audience, this is not just for magicians, so worldwide audience that people watch this program, the one thing that all people always feedback to me is they can tell when people are just regurgitating a tired old script. And what happens in trouble with the magic world is you'll get a prop, maybe a bit of whatever, and the worst thing is you get the instructions, which are fine, you learn the instructions, but you then get some patter. And there are some performers, nobody in the magic circle obviously, but there are some performers who just regurgitate that tired old pattern. That drives me crazy.
It's hard work. It's hard work. I think that some people find it very, very difficult to build up their own persona and bring out their own self in a piece of magic. And I know that when I've produced anything, or if I'm doing a lecture, I try my hardest not to actually put too much effort into the patter that I'm doing, and rather showing them the routine and then say, you could do it this way, or you could do it that way, but make up your own way. And and unfortunately I find most of us, I think a lot of magicians were influenced by somebody else, like our dad or our granddad or someone did magic, or they got, certainly my granddad, I remember being at the Christmas table and pulling a Christmas cracker, and my granddad taking out those 5 cards with all the numbers on them, and then finding out reading my mind, what the number was, and it blew my mind. But it wasn't so much my granddad who influenced my magic, although he did tell me that I should pursue it. It's having that moment to yourself where you think, I've got to be a character in magic, or I've got to be myself. And then when people decide to be themselves, that's when I think a lot of people, or certainly me, I found it very difficult. And then until the end, I thought, I'm just going to be myself. Because when I was a social person going out, and even now, and I'm not performing magic, people say, oh, Wayne, you're so funny. Oh, you're so good looking. And I can't help. Come on. And I just, and that's me. So I thought, right, that's what I've got. That's what people expect. That's what they want. If I'm that funny, I used to love going out as a teenager with my friends, go down the pub, and we're all having a laugh, and I would be first person up, let's do karaoke and let's do some jokes and let's have a laugh on stage. Because that was what I did. That was what I found I wasn't shy about. I was good at that stuff like that. And that's when I decided I've got to be an entertainer. I have to be. I didn't think I was going to be a magician, but I knew that I was going to be an actor or an entertainer in some way or another. I was going to do something.
Well, were you insecure before you found magic and comedy?
Yeah, because when I was very little, I was painfully shy, believe it or not. I was painfully shy. And I used to have this time where I used to beat myself up about being shy because it really hurt. I knew that I could get up and jump around and sing. I love singing. I knew that I could do impersonations or at least try. And I knew
who did you do as an impersonation?
I was doing all kinds of things. I can't even remember. Just people off the telly. They weren't even.
Give us your best Frank Spencer.
Ooh, Betty.
That's phenomenal, Wayne. Phenomenal.
It wasn't as good, was it? Anyway, so we were. I started to get really shy, but I knew that I could do it. I knew that I could do it, and I needed the encouragement for me to do it. So what I started to do in the end was make myself. And I was, as a little boy, and I remember this so vividly, a friend of mine, Nikki, we were at school together. She was the first person I spoke with at nursery. So we were 5 years old. I was in assembly, bawling my eyes out because I wanted to go home. And she she was sitting next to me. And we said our first day at school. I didn't know she was. And she nudged me and she said, what's the matter with you? In her best Enfield accent. And what's the matter with you? And governor. And I said, I want to go home. I miss my mum and my dad. And she said, we're only going to be here for 3 hours. And her mum had told her all about it. And anyway, we become really good friends at school. And she said to me, let's do a play in the playground. And I'm going to write a script. And she wrote all this paperwork. And we become really good friends. And we used to love doing this. We used to love doing all this kind of stuff and each playtime was, let's do a play. And that started to give me more confidence because she said, I'm going to give you the funny parts. You do all the jokes. So you do all and we were just little. We were like 7 years old. And we're doing all this stuff. And we are, here we are, the two of us. We're both still, adults now. But back then, I remember we were always in the playground. So we're going to do a show. Come and join us. And it'll be the Wayne and Nicola show or something like we used to do. And there's a lot of us. We used to sit down. We used to do this huge show. And all the kids used to come around and make a fuss of us like it was like the London Palladium. And I used to sit down and I used to write the gags. So I used to watch like Sunday night at the Palladium and write all the gags that Brucey was doing. And Morecambe and Wise had come on. I write, that's Benny Hill. I write all these one-liners I'd write down and memorise them. And we're in there. And then one day it was absolutely hammering down with rain and we weren't allowed out in the playground. So we had to be in a break time. And so while we were sitting there, Nikki said to our teacher, Mr. Price, she said, why don't you get Wayne to stand in front of class and do some jokes and to make us laugh? And so he said, how do you feel about that, Wayne, knowing that I was so shy? And I said, yeah, all right then. And honestly, Andrew, that was the moment to hear those kids going, Foxy, Foxy, and hearing them laugh and clap and cheer. It filled my heart with so much emotion. I felt like I was going to cry. And by this time, I was about 8 or 9 years old. And I remember Nikki looking at me going like that. And I got off, I went back and sat down in my seat and everyone's patting me on the back and Mr. Price is going, well done, well done. And then he come up to me and said, how did that feel? And I went, brilliant. It was brilliant feeling. He went, that's why I'm giving you a lead part in the play this year. And in the play at school, we had I had the first person on stage. Well, anyway, Nikki then said to me, I think what we should do, she said, I'm going to be your agent and I'm going to get you lots of work and I'm going to be your manager and I'm going to be a script writer and I'm going to be working in theatres and then you'll be an entertainer and I'll book you for work. And that was when we were like 9 years old. We're now both 52. She works in theatres, the Royal National actually, and she does book me for work and she does help me with my scripts. And it's like just the most incredible thing. The things that I've asked her when I said, when you're on stage, how can I project my voice better? It's simple things like that just you don't think of, how you walk on stage and how you present yourself. And to think that we both do that now that we're adults, again, it's a joyous feeling, isn't it? It's a lovely feeling, it really is. And that's got rid of all of my, to know that you can do it is one thing, but getting up and doing it, something pulls you back. And it's that something that you've got to unhook yourself from, let it go, because it's not going to do you any good, and then get up there and do it. Because it's the only way you're going to find it. Even if you get up there and you're terrible, at least you're trying, and you learn from that experience. And you know what I'm saying there. You get up there, you do something, it's awful. You think, well, I won't do that again. I'll do it this way next time. And the next time the opportunity comes up, you get up there and you do it the way that you've learned from. And that's how I've done it. I was a very I did judo as well at the time, and I've always said that helped me with my confidence. By the time I was 12, I had too much confidence. But that's how it's helped me. As a young child, you must unhook yourself. You must unhook yourself, because you'll go through your life regretting it. And we all know these people who sit back thinking, I wish I'd done that. And I'm not a wisher, I'm a willer. I will will things.
And I love that as well. And you're absolutely right, Wayne. And there's a couple of things there. So when you look at people who come into the profession, we talk not just about magicians, but comedians and actors and so on and so forth. Actually, most of them come back from a position which is very insecure. They tend to have challenges such as dyslexia or mental issues, or they come from broken homes or whatever, or they're very, very shy. And you find that entertainment gives them the springboard, if you like, to be a better version of themselves. Comedians are some of the most tortured souls on the planet, which is why things like mental illness and so on and so forth, so many comedians, they've got layer upon layer where they have to keep on performing. And the other side of it can be quite a challenge, can't it?
Yeah, I think it is. I certainly have my moments. I think like everybody does. I remember watching George Michael being interviewed, a documentary quite a few years ago now, and he was saying that I was at a party with Princess Diana and the two princes, and Elton was there, and he said that Diana asked me to get up and sing Happy Birthday with Elton on the piano to Prince William. And he said, I struggled because it's such a small audience. He can get up in front of, I went to see him at Wembley Stadium in front of 109,000 people or something, and he can get up and do anything he wants. But when there's 20 people there, you think, oh, God, I can't do it. I can't do it. And it was interesting to know that. And I think that we all struggle with certain bits of our I remember my first time I had to go on stage, and I was shaking. I mean, literally shaking. I don't normally get that nervous. I get adrenaline, but this wasn't adrenaline. Or if it was, it took over. And I was getting really worried about this performance. It was a corporate gig, and I'd already done close-up magic, but I was going to go on stage and introduce the MD of the company. But in the meantime, I was going to do I think I was doing a bottle production. And, oh, God, I was on stage for about a minute and a half. But, I was shaking. I mean, it's ridiculous to think of it now, but I do make sure that I remember it, because I want to be able to help other people who say to me, I'm so nervous. I'm worried about how the way I feel about going on stage. And then at least I think for people like us who've already done it, can relate to it. And then we can say, this is what I did to help me. It might help you. Try it. And that's the way for me, I think that's the way it works. It works like that for me. And certainly if I'm around and we're all going on stage together as one of these multi-magician gig things, when there's lots of you on stage, that's where I try and help people.
So what specifically do you do? Because a lot of people talk about this, and I know many very famous people who get very, very nervous, get terrible stage fright, and they will often say it's a pattern. And I like the idea of patterns, because talking about how different people cope with things is very, very powerful. But the pattern that they have is that they will always say it's much, much easier working to the 60,000, 100,000 people because you are anonymous. Whereas you have to go into that close audience. So I totally get it about the Princess Diana story and singing Happy Birthday to William when Elton's there and that sort of stuff. And most people, to go back to what you said beforehand, they are painfully shy. And the closer you are to them, the closer that sort of peeking beneath the kimono, if you like, you're up close and very personal. They're not in the stage, this is it, there's nobody I really know, I'm performing to somebody at the back, but everybody's there, I'm in the moment, it's fantastic. Most performers are incredibly insecure.
It's an extraordinary thing. I read a book actually with Lee Evans, the way he would try to organise himself when he was, because I don't know if everybody expects you to be funny. Do you remember when Lenny Henry was married, where Dawn French and Lenny Henry were married? People used to say, I bet it's a scream in their house. You know, they're human beings, and what they do for a living is what they do for a living. When they're at home, they're the same as you and I, and we've all got two eyes, a nose and a mouth. We are all equal. And I think that people seem to, not everyone, but a lot of people do seem to think that you are always like that. And that, I think, might be one of the reasons why people are like it. Maybe it's the expectation of what people think they're going to be like. And yeah, I don't know. You must get it. I get it. Whenever you walk into a room and someone finds out you're a magician, someone says, you know, can you do some magic? Of course they're going to. And I used to have a right thing about that. And my dad had to tell me off. Because I was about 23, 24, and I come home, I've been out for the night, and I still lived at home, and I was chatting with my dad the next day. And I said, oh, this guy and this girl's asking me to do magic. I said to him, I don't want to do any magic for them. And I said, I'm not getting paid for it. That's what I do. I'm an artist. And my dad really had a go at me. And I'm glad he did, you know, because he said, if you want to get known, if you want to work, if you want to do magic for a living, you've got to do it whenever possible. And don't get stuck up your own backside by thinking that you're someone special and you're not going to do it unless you get paid, because you're just the same as anybody else.
So everybody asks that situation, and people come up with lines. Well, if you're a gynecologist, I'll show you my work, and all those sort of naff stuff that people say in those sort of situations. If you get asked when you come to a party, what do you do?
You know what? My magic lecture, the new one I've got coming out, is about being prepared. Because if you are going to go out and you want people to know that you are a magician, then you better do something bloody good.
Okay, go for it. Show me something bloody good.
So, name a card.
4 of diamonds.
You're both behind on it again.
And I do it again. It'll look good in the edit. So pick out the 4 of diamonds. It looks good. Okay, pick it out. Here we go.
Hang on a minute. What are we going to choose? Hang on a second.
Show us something. This is you.
I'm going to flick through a card, and I'm going to up-jog a card.
Yeah, okay.
Call it in the profession. What is the card?
4 of diamonds. Yeah,
come
on. And that's why you don't get invited back to parties. I love it. It's so good. It's so good.
I'm always prepared. always prepared to do something. I've always got something on me, something good that I'm going to do, so that if someone does come up to me, and you know it, I've got a place in Covent Garden where I always go for breakfast. They know who I am.
Where do you go in Covent Garden for breakfast so people can stalk you? Where do you go?
I go to Coat. You know Coat in Covent Garden? You must know Coat.
Trains are available, but we'll be sponsored now by Coat. They love it. There are loads of Coats. There's one round the corner from me. It's a wonderful restaurant.
There's a Coat just off Tavistock Street in Covent Garden.
When you go to you're pulled. That's what they say. Coat.
That's it. When you go to Covent Garden in the morning, it's like you're one of the crowd. It's like you live there. And I go to Covent Garden 2 or 3 days a week in the morning just to have breakfast, just so that I can chill out with the locals and be part of the crowd, because that's what I've loved. And I've done it for years because it just feels part of me. It's just me, you know. That's how I am. I'm a Londoner, and that's what I love. But yeah, getting back onto the subject. If you're gonna tell people that you are a magician, then you must be ready for when someone says to you, "Are you really?" Or my friend Andrew says, "You're a magician. Can you show us something quickly?" It's like being a celebrity and then being asked, "Can I have your autograph?" You've got to be prepared that you are actually going to be stopped at some point and say yes or no, or go away, or of course you can. So I've always done that. I've always been prepared. And I do think people should respect moments. Like when I was a kid, I don't really autograph hunt, but when I was a kid, I remember seeing celebrities out and about. And my dad would always say to me, if they're sitting down eating, or if they look busy, don't ask them. If they're walking around, then you can take a chance and say, "Can I have your autograph, please?" And I think that's the same thing. So, but I make sure that I'm prepared to do something excellent, in my view, excellent, something really special, so that those people then can go home, and not just for the sake of I might get a gig from it. The simple fact is that magic's, it sounds a bit corny and people might think, but it spreads a bit of joy, especially at the moment. It spreads a bit of joy and wonder. And what a lovely thing to be able to do is that you might be in Costa Coffee, just having a quick drink, and they recognise you, and some of my friends are mentioning, "Oh yeah," and that's happened to me. I sat there, and all of a sudden, you've got 12 people sitting around you, where you think, you know what, come on then. And you'll end up doing your A set. So and I love it. I love it. There's me doing what I do for a living, doing it actually for nothing. When it's not really nothing, you're doing it for joy, human interaction and love and happiness, and spreading a bit of happy, so that those people can walk out of there and go, "That guy was brilliant. Wasn't that brilliant? Wouldn't we have fun?"
And you're absolutely right, Wyn. And it's Jeff McBride who would always say that a fee is a fair exchange of energy. So if you go away as a performer and you've been in Covent Garden and lots of people have spotted you, say, "He's the one you want for our next party," or "She's the one I've got to book for this," or "They're the whatever it is." You're working on that sort of principle because you're always advertising. And I've had people on who have both views. If you go to a comedian and say, "Oh, he's a comedian, well, go on then, tell us a joke, or go on, change colour," whatever the gag, they're working on that, and they get really annoyed. But you're right. You are part of that sort of stuff. But it's a balance. And you raise a really interesting point about respect. And the whole thing is, people are human. And there are, and a lot of people say, and we all know lots of wonderful, famous people and everything else. And I'll get some people tell me a story about a particular famous person. They say, "Oh, they're really nice. Every time you go meet them, they're really lovely." Another person will say, "Every time I met them, they were horrible." And the answer is yes. It's yes to both of those, because depending on the moment you catch them, will be what they are in the day. And I think people forget that sometimes, don't they?
They do, yeah, definitely. I've met celebrities, and I've always thought that they were really nice, but that's always, I think, because I've approached them in some way, especially when you're working, because, the industry we're in, we're meeting celebrities a lot of the time. But you're on, I find myself, I'm sure you have as well, you're on the same set list as them. So we might have a guest speaker. They had Rory Bremner at one of the ones that I did at Park Lane at Christmas time, and we're all sharing the same dressing room as him. You know, so you are sitting down suddenly chatting with Rory Bremner and having a giggle and a laugh with him, and that happens. And I think that those times, they kind of, the celebrity then sees you as one of them, and then that makes me feel where you can't really have that moment where you can say, "Can I have a quick selfie or a photograph or an autograph?" So it is a tricky subject, but I just quite like the moment where you have met a celebrity and you've worked with them for the night, and you don't have to. It's just a lovely memory to have, you know. So we're in a very fortunate position. We're undoubtedly in a
fortunate position, but also there's something where sometimes, and it really depends on the individual and how you handle it, and certain language patterns that you use. But actually, they quite like that. And sometimes people get grumpy. It is interesting. They get grumpy if you don't ask, because a lot of people.
Yeah,
they want to give the autograph. They want to have that sort of stuff because they know the power of that sort of stuff. But it's just how you approach it.
It is. I think I'm blowing my own trumpet here, but if no one tells you, then who's going to tell you? But me. But I'm a good people person. I'm always been a very good interacting people person. I'm good with people skills, and I just know. I find I've never come across the moment where I've met someone and thought, what a horrible person they were. You know, it's just I've always known the moment. I'll give you an example. Actually, I met Madonna at a gig once, and you could tell that she'd just finished having quite a deep discussion with the person she was. I don't know who it was she was with, but you could tell that she was, you know. And I thought, and the agent's going to me, go up and do some magic on her. And I said, you know what? As much as I think that would be wonderful, I can just tell she's not in the mood. She is not in the mood. And she wasn't. You could just tell she was not happy about this discussion she had with someone. And she was, you know, and she was being polite and everything to everybody. And it's being aware. It's being aware of people and thinking, right, no. Yeah, of course, the agent would look at me and say, oh, you should have done it, you should have done it. But I'm thinking, no, actually, I might have saved your bacon there.
Without a doubt, and she's a lovely, lovely, lovely person. And there is a moment, and I
must say, I did go and have a chat with her.
Oh, you did? What did you chat about?
Yes, I just... we were at the Home House Club. You know the Home House Club?
Of course, it's just around the corner from me.
It is. And I was there doing a gig, and she was there, private room, had a little, she walked in. I saw her coming through, saw her have this conversation. I thought, I can't not say hello. It's ridiculous if I don't say hello. And as they were talking, and she was about to do some bits, I just walked over, and she saw me and she nodded, and I went, hi, how you doing? And she went, I'm fine. I went, I'm Wayne. And she went, I'm Madonna. Because it's lovely to meet you.
Did you say show the card trick?
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to... Take the card.
Yeah. Hi, thank you. Is this your penknife, you said?
Or was it the red one?
No, thank you. Exactly. I love it. It's always a thrill. Always a thrill. Now, listen, we're gonna get you back because I think there's loads more we should be talking about. So we're gonna get you back, and next time I want to see some magic, because there's more magic in addition to the to that fantastic card trick. But before you go, because there's so much useful advice that you've given people, how would you, Wayne Fox, like to be remembered?
Well, I always think to myself about being a decent person. My mum would always express to me that, and my dad, that we as a human race are one. And that was the little motto she gave me, we are one. And I wrote that on her eulogy when she passed away. I wrote something and I ended it with, we are one, because that was what she was. And we are. You know, especially at the moment with everything that's going on, we do have to understand that we are a human race. Now, we are all the same. We are all the same. And we are all different in terms of what we like to do, but we are, you know, we're all flesh and blood, got two eyes, nose and a mouth. And as long as we are decent to one another, then hopefully someone was going to be decent to you. And that is why I always enjoy what I do. And it was something that was in a George Michael lyric when I was a little boy. I mean, at the time, I think he was only 18 when he wrote the song. And he ends the song with a lyric, and it just fades out by saying, enjoy what you do. Enjoy what you do. Enjoy what you do. And it just went on and on and on. And that, from, I think I was 15 or 16, it just triggered in my mind. And I've got a certain mate of mine who I would look at when we always say it to each other, always give each other a hug and say, enjoy what you do. And I think that's why I want people to remember me, that I enjoyed what I did. That's me.
Wayne Fox, it's been a real pleasure having you as my guest. Look forward to having you again next time. Thank you very much for joining me.
Andrew, thank you for inviting me on. I really appreciate it. And everybody, enjoy what you do. Stay safe. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks a lot, Wayne Fox. So a little glimpse at Wayne's world, the fantastic Wayne Fox. And we will get him back. If you have any thoughts on any of the issues raised, or you'd like to be a guest yourself, write to me at LOL, that's LOL, at octopustv.com. But for now, be yourself, because everybody else has taken sound advice. See you next time. Bye.